Happy Monday, gamers. We are back with some more modern action. We've been able to do lots of commentary over the weekend that was not Magic related. We got to spend our time casting up some StarCraft 2 and some Stormgate. So if you're interested in checking that stuff out, of course, there's links to the stream and everything in the description. Twitch.tv/TheRealNanMan for live commentary stuff that we do on the weekends when we get time, and tournaments line up with our schedule. Of course, VODs for that are going to be up on our RTS channel, youtube.com/NanMan. But we've got some exciting stuff tonight with Eldrazi Ramp versus Asmo Food. Now, I say it's exciting stuff because, you know, it's not every day that we get to see an Asmo Food deck. It's one of those tier 2, mid-tier decks. Still, it's if we had to classify it as a deck, it's one of those that is a LGS All-Star type deck or an MTGO All-Star deck that can get in there and in the right environment do very well and grind it out. This matchup is going to be one of its worst matchups, though. Any Eldrazi-based deck or deck that is going to be more toolboxy with Karn, whatever the anti-artifact one is, it's going to make it more and more difficult. But here's our Cauldron Familiar coming out here for the Asmo Food. It's all about recursion is the name of the game with the deck. You sit there, you are cycling through your cards from your graveyard back to the library, sacrificing food and being able to get value of just kind of returning things. Problem is, you are not able to actually get things back from the graveyard when it's exiled, and Kozilek's Command starting things off of really putting the hurt on the deck with this little bit of exile effect, exile target creature, make a spawn, fun adventures here. So tough way to start things off, but hope you guys at least have been enjoying all of our different content we've been putting out. We had some more interview stuff with another content creator, another MTGO player out there that does a lot of Commander streams, attends a lot of events, been able to play in-person events like Tolarian Community College Shuffle Up and Play. So if you guys want to check out more about that adventures and that interview stuff, check out the channel. There's more content. It's in the podcast form. Also, we do have a podcast for anybody that's interested. It's kind of all things gamey and nerdy, and we do interviews at least once a month in between other content that we're sneaking in there for you guys, which is NanMans Nerd Corner, anywhere podcasts can be found. So if you're looking for other content besides just our twice a week modern coverage, there are, of course, lots of content out there for you all to be able to enjoy. But let's kind of get through things here with Eldrazi Ramp versus Asmo Food. We've got lots of games coming up because we are getting closer and closer to the ban list, the ban announcement. A lot of discussion has been coming up here. So this Bitter Triumph choice is interesting. The goal is to try to fill your graveyard up with things you can bring back, destroying target creature or planeswalker. The interesting choice here is you're trying to rush out and get something into the graveyard, also trying to be able to basically get your Asmo out immediately. I think the wait is fine. I think waiting to get Asmo out an extra turn or two to kill something more impactful is probably the line here. I mean, Asmo's a great card. It's a 3/3, sack 2 foods. You target creature deals 6 damage to itself. So getting that out and getting it set up makes a lot of sense. So we see a little jump cuts and stuff like that. I decided to do a little bit more cutting through this episode because there's, lots of shuffle effects. Agent waving to the camera there. A lot of shuffling up between decks, so it's just like, hey, we'll do a couple quick jump cuts, save some time, and so we can stay focused on what's happening. Here's the other thing. This Eldrazi Ramp deck is a little bit toolboxy with the lands, and of course it's got a main deck, Bajuka Bog, to get rid of all that stuff, all that work that you were doing of like, oh, let me discard this specific card into my graveyard that I can try to bring back. I can sneak out an Asmo and trying to go for a really powerful turn. And then, of course, we get hit with another Kozilek's Command to exile Asmo and just like really just shred apart and destroy everything that the Asmo player was attempting to do within those first couple of turns. But that's kind of why I feel like if you're playing against a ramp deck, you know it's going to ramp out into big, scary stuff. So playing a little bit slower and methodical to try to set yourself up, like now that you have the cookbooks and other things, like it's fine. You're just in a rough spot, especially because you had the sagas. I guess playing the sagas last turn, maybe you drew it this turn. I wasn't paying enough attention to it, but I think we save our removal for the big scary stuff. Be prepared. This is a cool new tool that a lot of the list are running. Scavenger's Talent. So it does care whenever one or more creature you control dies, create a food token. Triggers once a turn. That's fine. Whenever you sack a permanent, target player mills 2 cards. So you can be milling yourself if you want to get your graveyard filled up. And then beginning of your end step, you can sacrifice 3 other non-land permanents, all that food you've generated, and return a creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield. So it definitely is that self-mill, high synergy with the way the deck works. But this is what we're talking about. The Great Creator, not Liberating. Karn, the Great Creator, is the card that we got to be worried about, because our deck is Asmo Food, as you know, with the cookbook, with the cauldron, like Witch's Oven. You're sitting here and you're like, well, I guess I just am going to sit here and look at my cards, because now you have a Karn that just has a static ability that makes it so I cannot activate my artifacts. We're going to go into our sideboard with some toolboxiness and be able to try to turn all of your lands into artifacts there. At least that's the plan, right? Make sure this liquid metal coating, liquid metal torque, liquid metal, all those liquid metal things, making things into artifacts. But let's see, tapping away. Do we got some Planeswalker removal here? Yeah, we do. Assassin's Trophy. That's one way to get rid of it there. I like Assassin's Trophy. It doesn't see enough play, I feel like. There's not enough Golgari decks running around. Most of the Golgari decks that are more combo focused and don't really care so much about Assassin's Trophy and destroying things. They care more about protecting their combo stuff. Thinking about like the Yawgmoth style decks and things like that. At least that's what we're used to seeing at our LGS. But you know, that's kind of the fun of Modern. We get to see decks like Asmo Food run around. It's going to be stuff that you might see come across your radar online. You might see it every now and again in an LGS, but one of the things that we like to do here on the channel in NanMans Nerd Corner is be able to showcase a lot of depth that Modern has. There's a lot of cool decks out there that have kind of been suppressed and haven't really been seeing as much play, with Boros Energy taking over and being the most popular deck and most powerful deck in the format, having, you know, just a very efficient, very powerful deck makes it really hard to kind of keep up with. We do have a couple other videos scheduled with some Boros Energy, or at least some energy-based decks. We've got a Jeskai Control coming out. I believe we're going to try to put it out later this week, or it might be Monday of next week. We'll see how timing works for things. Lots of great videos in the works. But yeah, a lot of people trying to figure out where to go with the One Ring ban looming on the horizon, and a lot of speculation about what is going to get banned from Boros Energy. But these decks here don't really see much changing with it. Eldrazi Ramp, you know, they're running the One Ring. It's going to lose the One Ring, but it doesn't really change too much in what it's trying to do. But we're seeing our Myco spawn, popping a land, getting ourselves ready. And yeah, because it's got the land toolboxiness with this, is we got Surveil lands. Get a little bit more information here. Our opponent is kind of setting themselves up here, and now there's a threat out. It makes it a little bit scary, because we've committed a lot of resources into the graveyard to only have them removed and exiled. So now we're just kind of, all right, trying to assemble stuff. What can we do here? Yeah, level up. That's fine. Now we're at that beginning of your end step. You can sacrifice 3 other non-land permanents. If you do, return a creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield with a finality counter. So that was the other difference, is that finality counter, if it was going to die after that, it is a finality thing. So I believe you exile it afterward, unless I'm mixing up cards, which is very possible. All right, let's see. Untappies. What do we got going on here? Just the beatdowns, it looks like. So the ramp strategy, we're going to eventually try to assemble some bigger, dumber Eldrazi to try to wrap up and close out the game. Well, Yep, so there is the One Ring in here. But here's one of those bigger, dumber creatures that we were talking about. Devourer of Destiny. It's got, of course, that ability when you cast it, exile target permanent that's one or more colors. So that happens to be those lovely little sagas that we've been spending our time ticking up and leveling up over here. So now there is at least a bigger threat out, ready to kind of cause problems on the board. And when your whole goal is to do the graveyard shenanigans, when your opponent is built a deck around exiling, it makes it really tough. So sometimes this happens. That's kind of one of the reasons why we showcase some of these matches on camera as well, is sometimes Modern is full of non-games like we're seeing right now of like, oh, you have to fight through a Karn. Okay, spend all my resources doing that. All right. Oh, there's a Bajuka Bog. Oh, there's this Devourer of Destiny. Oh, we've gotten 2 Kozilek's command coming out. So that's like, you know, 4 different exile effects essentially that we've been able to see. So things are tough over here for our Asmo Food. But there's the beats coming across. Let's do some 9 damage. And we'll try to kind of equal it out a little bit here in that life total, dropping to 7. Here's another Devourer. No targets to exile, but that's okay. This is just kind of our way to make sure we close out the game in case there was anything worthwhile that would come out here. Nothing. Oh, hey, there we go. Well, tap the correct one. Scavenger's Talent. We chop deck that. Not really useful or helpful, but pops right after the Devourer of Destiny. How great would that have been if another Devourer, you play that and then the Devourer of Destiny gets cast and gets rid of it. But no, we gotta go and do the normal just Eldrazi turn creatures sideways. Yeah, all those exile effects make it really, really tough. I don't know what the sideboard looks like for the Asmo Food package that's going to be able to really deal with this. Because, again, it's very just like, I'm going to do my own game plan. I'm going to set myself up in a position here to kind of deal with you and use my Rube Goldberg machine and just, you know, tap this little marble and it's going to roll down this ramp and knock over these cups that'll then knock this over. And it's just like a chain reaction deck that you need all these little pieces assembled in order to work. A deck that shuts down every little piece that you create makes it really tough. But Ancient Stirring starting things off for Eldrazi Ramp deck, going to be help us to accelerate out and ramp up to some bigger Eldrazi's. I will say that it is, as somebody that was around during Eldrazi Winter, it is nice to see an Eldrazi deck back prevalent within the Modern meta. You know, after Eldrazi Winter and they banned Eye of Ugin and they did all that, you know, nuking down of the deck kind of, there was very specific people that would do like Tron Eldrazi and try to make stuff work. But, you know, being able to use our Eldrazi temples again and see them in Modern, like it's a cool land, all right? That's very specific to what it's trying to do. I mean, you love it or hate it, you know, whether you like Eldrazi or not. I do like I like the idea of having creature-based decks within Modern, because all the old creature-based decks, like elves and humans and stuff like that, are gone. Merfolk's still around. You can argue that there is a creature deck within that element of being Merfolks. Maybe we'll see some Merfolk coming out again soon. But another Cauldron Familiar. So turn 1, Cauldron Familiar is always nice. We saw that in Game 1 and Game 2. So that's really kind of what you're hoping for. Unless, of course, maybe you have the Oven or something like that. But yeah, just being able to utilize your food cat deck is pretty sweet. So do we just have a Kozilek's command? Yeah, of course we do. Of course there's a Kozilek command. Hey, you wanted to play with this cat? Not going to happen. No cat plays for you. We'll make another little bit of an Eldrazi spawn in the process here. And now it's kind of like, all right, I see an Asmo in hand, so now we're looking for a discard effect. More talent going on. We got our next. So a couple options here, it looks like. Again, going to be setting ourselves up with our Scavenger's Talent. Cares about creatures dying. And there's the, so Witch's Oven. So I guess, yeah, I think that if we had Witch's Oven last turn, that's always the play, right? You always want to be able to respond to your opponent trying to kill your cat. If they sit here and have the Kozilek's command, but you already had Witch's Oven, play Witch's Oven turn 1, play cat turn 2. Oh, now I'm going to try to Kozilek's command. Well, I'm going to sacrifice the cat in response using the Witch's Oven, turn it into a food, and your spell essentially has no legal targets for that. But sowing, Mycospawn, let's blow up your land and draw a land. Maybe, I guess, in that regard, where you go, oh, this isn't as fun of a Eldrazi deck to have to fight against, where you're just, like, popping lands and stuff like that. I mean, I will say we have seen a couple variations of the Eldrazi Ramp. At one point, there was, you know, some Ponza destroy Stone Rain effects, you know, starting to pop up there, but now it's just Mycospawn as the Stone Rain effects in the deck. Lots of temples, though. 2, 4, 6, 7 mana if we cast an Eldrazi spell. So Devourer of Destinies able to be cast. There's an Ulamog in hand. If we can get up there. Hey, everybody gets some forest. Congratulations. Yavimaya. So if we're not casting Eldrazi up to 5 mana, that's perfectly fine. But let's see. 2 or 3. Okay, 2 mana. Malevolent Rumble's a great card. One of those that if you're running a green-based deck, it's pretty worth it. You know, we first saw it when people were playing Nadu, and then it's kind of branched out with Nadu gone. We see it in Golgari, especially the Yawgmoth decks. We see it in all of these Eldrazi-based decks. So, like, at least the ramp versions of it, the ones that are running green. But yeah, it's like, hey, take this 1 ring, please. And it's like, no. The goal is to try to kill you. We don't need a 1 ring at this point. We've got threats now, and the goal is to kind of close the game out. So we're gonna get some threats out. Also, an exile effect is really good against the Asmo deck. We saw it in game 1. We're seeing it right now. Kind of the assembling of pieces. Just kidding. We don't have enough mana to cast that. 2, 4, 5, 6. So no, not enough yet. Next turn. There we go. Again, we talked about the one card. If there was one card in the Eldrazi Ramp deck that just basically says, hey, you don't get to play the game plan that you wanted to play, Asmo, it's going to be Karn, Great Creator. So that's that tough. And we're going to actually just tutor for an additional exile and or at least an additional threat here. So yeah, all threats all the time getting assembled here for an Eldrazi Ramp player. How will our Asmo Food player kind of respond to this? We need to get rid of Karn again, but we've got a cookbook. Oh, that's tough too, because you're like, all right, I tried to activate it, and it goes, no, blanket effect. Artifacts cannot be activated. Karn's such a... you know, it's been years now since they printed static effects on Planeswalkers, and they're so powerful. Why did they think that was a good idea? It's like, I mean, well, if you think about all the ones that were printed, not all of them see play, especially in Modern. But the ones that do see play, Karn, the Great Creator, Teferi, Time Reveler, those ones are just so good. Hey, you can't cast things at instant speed. Hey, you can't be able to cast or activate the abilities of your artifacts. Just like these very specific, like, hate out effects that are just so good at what they do. All right, yeah, we're left with, is that Whirler guy? Can like keep coming back when you bring him in your graveyard and stuff? Maybe. Bring the beats. 3 damage. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 mana again, or 8 mana for an Eldrazi. But what do we got here? I mean, we do have the Devourer of Destiny, so that's probably going to be the play here. Oh no, we're gonna just do the big boys here. Elmerkul, the Promised End. 13/13, cost less for each card type in your graveyard. And then, of course, we have all those Eldrazi temples that help pay for it. And it is a flying trample protection from instants. So that one out that you might have had with your Assassin's Trophy does not work. So when you cast it, you gain control of target opponent during that player's next turn. After that turn, that player gets to take an extra turn. I need to pick up another copy of it. I have one in a commander deck, and I need to get one other for my cube, because I'm trying to keep my cube separate as much as possible, which, you know, works out great sometimes, and then sometimes I'm like, oh, but I want to use that card in this deck or that deck, or oh, I want to build this new commander deck, or oh, let's try to make another cube and separate things. I don't know. But hey, we're gonna cast this Witch's Oven, you know, because why not? We are controlling our opponent. Yeah, they've got the Asmo, and I want to say that whirling guy. What's his name? Somebody that knows, leave a comment. Tell me what that discard creature is. Someone that actually plays Asmo Food more than I do. I've interacted with the deck and messed with it online and stuff like that. I used to play some Witch's Oven stuff back in, like, you know, on MTG Arena when I was doing that pre-Alchemy. So that tells you how long ago I was playing that. Now I just play back. Well, I played MTGO back in the day, but now I play more MTGO. Plus, we got the Holiday Cube coming up for the Vintage Cube. I love me some Vintage Cube. One of my favorite formats to be able to draft up there. Let's do powerful stuff. Okay, lots of artifacts that we can't do anything with. Passing back over, and we got some big beats coming across here. Move to combat. 16 damage. Bink, bink, bink. Down to 1 life. Where's the fetch land? Go out on your own terms. Yeah, still the Ulamog. Like, there's the cards. We didn't get any extra ramp or lands here, but we're just like... Was there, like, 3 Devour of Destinies in his hand? I think there was, like, 2 for sure, but... Let's see. 1, 2... Nope, there's 3. 3 Devour of Destinies, a second Karn in case we needed it, and the Ulamog. I don't know. You might be wondering, why did we watch that? Why did it? Because sometimes Modern is like that, y'all. It's okay to be able to show some games like this, just so you know. But plus, think about what fun decks are you going to brew up with the ban list going on. Maybe not Asmo Food after that, but tell me, what are you going to play? But that's going to do it for us. Thanks for tuning in and watching. Make sure you're subscribing every Monday and Thursday. New Modern content for you. But that's going to do it. Thanks so much for watching, y'all. We'll see you all next game.